So we do have a Q&A session as part of today. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by giving you a little demonstration, a little presentation about widgets. And then that might give you some more time to dream up some more questions about iPhones and iPads. Okay. So widgets, let's talk widgets. This, of course, is an iPhone. Nothing so special about this. And in fact, we're going to make it special because we're going to put widgets on it. Let's talk about what widgets are to begin with. So widgets are built into the system. They've been there since version, I think, 14. They work on all the iPhones. They work slightly differently on the iPad, but you can do that there too. And what the purpose is of a widget is to give you information at a glance. Okay, you don't have to tap anything to see the information you want. It's right there in front of you. So for example, I'm gonna add a weather widget to my iPhone. Now normally what people have to do to get to the weather is they have to find the weather app. So maybe they search for weather and then they touch the weather and then you see what the weather is. But that took a little bit of work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a weather widget right on the screen so I can always see what the weather is. Okay, so how do we do this? So the basics things that I'm going to show you here is how all widgets work. You start by putting your finger anywhere on the screen and holding it so that things begin to wiggle. So I'm going to put my finger down at the bottom. And you can see we're in the so-called jiggle mode. Things are jiggling. Now, sometimes you get into this mode by mistake. And now you know how to get there on purpose. And we can get out of it. We can easily get out of it because I can either tap where it says done up here at the top. I think let's work in green today. All right, so I can tap there and it'll stop wiggling. So there it did. Okay, or I'm going to make it wiggle again. I can just touch the screen somewhere where there's nothing, like maybe there or here, and it stops wiggling. Or you can just wait long enough and it'll stop wiggling. So if things are in jiggle mode, those are your ways out. You can also just wait long enough. If you wait long enough, it'll stop. So it's nice to know that it's stopping on purpose. Okay, here we go. So we're going to add a widget. So the one thing we didn't do is we didn't tap this plus up here. So let's tap this plus. This is the only way to do it. Okay, you touch the plus. Okay, so when we go to the widgets section here, you see some widgets that Apple is suggesting for you. They probably aren't going to have a picture of me, but here's some things they think you might like: a weather widget, a clock widget, and if you like what you see, you can just touch it and have it. So I'm going to just tap this one, and now what they're telling me here is there are different sizes of weather widgets, and down here across the bottom there's these dots which are showing us that there are 3 sizes. So I'm going to swipe to show here's a slightly larger one and here's a really larger one. So for my needs, this one is great. So here's the first thing that happens that goes wrong for everybody is you see this widget, you want this widget, and so then you tap on this widget and absolutely nothing happens because it never happens. Okay, you can't tap the widget. You have to tap down here where it says add widget. So it's annoying. I make the mistake over and over and over. I want to touch the thing I want, but it doesn't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch down at the bottom where it says add widget. And it flies up there. And it's still wiggling, but I'm going to tap done up at the top right corner. And here it is. Now, whenever you add a widget to any home screen, first of all, it's going to go to the home screen you're on. So if you're on page 1, it's going to go into page 1, but it's also going to go at the upper left up there. So it's always going to go to the upper left, and it's going to push other things around to make it fit. Now, it doesn't have to stay there. If you want to put your finger on it, like I'm going to here, I'm putting my finger on it, and things start to wiggle and I can move it around. I can put it down here if I want. But the big advantage here is I can look right now and I can see that it's 64 degrees in Santa Monica. So information at a glance. So when you add a widget, you often have chances to modify the widget and to customize it. So I'm going to do that now. So on this widget, I'm going to touch it here and I'm going to hold it until it wiggles. Then I'm going to go to where it says Edit Widget right here. So when we do this, it has an idea of where you are interested in getting the weather. And they think I want to get the weather where I am. Well, that's okay. I can look out the window and see what the weather is where I am. So I'm going to find out what the weather is at my mom's house to see if maybe I should suggest she get some popsicles or something in case it gets hot. So what we do is we touch here in the blue part where it says my location. I'm going to change that to some other location. And these are locations of cities that I have put into the weather app because I'm interested in these places. These are places I either have friends or family. So I'm going to go to Davis here and I'm going to say, give me the weather that's in Davis. And now the next thing that's tricky is how do you get out of this? Where's the close box? Well, there isn't a close box. So you have to just tap somewhere else. So somewhere else could be, anywhere up here, anywhere down here, but there's no done button. There's no close button. It's just the way it is. You just have to know. So I'm going to tap up at the top. And now my weather widget is showing me that's on the way to 88 in Davis. So I don't think mom's going to need popsicles today. It's not that hot. So that's the basics of adding a widget. Now, if you want to get rid of the widget, I can touch it, hold it, and I can then remove the widget up at the top. That's easy. But I'm going to add another widget. And by the way, I could have multiple widgets of the same one. If I wanted to have another weather widget for some other place that I like, which I'm going to do. Let's just do it. So I'm going to touch where there's nothing, right? I'm going to touch up here maybe, or touch down at the bottom, and we're going to get things wiggling. And then I'm going to hit the plus up at the top, right? Same routine. So do this a couple times till we get it down. And now I'm going to go to, I can scroll through here and you'll see, besides these ones up here that Apple is suggesting, there's a list eventually here. This is a list of apps that have widgets. And so that's an important point. Widgets don't just show up by themselves. They are attached to an app. So you don't go to the App Store looking for widgets. You find an app that has a widget in it already. So these are all apps that these are all standard apps. And I'm going to go down here to weather, and I'm going to add weather again. Okay, and so it looks like I'm adding the exact same thing again, which I am. This time I'm going to remember what to do, and I'm going to tap where it says add widget. And we will add this widget. And of course, as predicted, it flies right up to the top, right? So now what I cannot do, this is another thing that you just need to know. You can't edit this widget while it's wiggling like this. Okay, you can put your finger on it all day long and it doesn't give me the edit. Okay, if you tap it, it does. Okay, but when it's not wiggling, you hold it, and when you tap it, when it is wiggling, you tap it. So let's put this. I'm going to see what the weather is like in San Antonio. Okay, so now I've got two widgets, right? I've got this one here and another one that I lost over here on this page. And I can move this just like any other thing that we do. I'm just going to drag it over and I'll put it right up here. So I've got Davis, got San Antonio. Okay, so it's easy to have as many widgets as you want as will fit, and they can be of the same thing, but there's only so much weather you need. So let me show you another one that I find really quite nice, and that's to have a picture on the phone that's always there. So a lot of people have a picture that's like the background pattern, or they have the picture that's on the lock screen, but those things go away because when you're using the phone, you're either covering them up, or of course you turn the phone on and unlock it and the lock screen goes away too. So I'm going to put a picture up there like you would put a picture maybe on your coffee table or on your desk. So here we go. So I'm going to add another widget. And when I come down here to widgets, to the different apps, I'm going to go to photos. Photos only has one kind of widget. They have it in 3 sizes. And what this is called is For You. And if you can read the fine print here, these are actually curated by Apple to put together groups of photos with music in a little movie. And every day you get a different one. And it's really fun because it floats pictures that you haven't seen in a while up to the top, and you have nice memories. So I'm going to add this widget. Now I could also add it in a different size. And now I didn't, the point is that I did not make this thing called March at Home. This is a widget that they've made for me, and tomorrow it'll be different. It might be pictures when I went out to take pictures of wildlife or wildflowers. So this changes up here every single day, and it can be a nice surprise. So I think you might enjoy having that widget. However, you might also want, instead of that, a picture that doesn't change. You might have a picture that you really like, a picture, your wife, your dog, your girlfriend, something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this widget. I'm going to put a widget up there that is just one picture. Now, Apple doesn't have that built in. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to transition to another app called Widget Smith. Now, Widget Smith you can get from the App Store. I can't remember if it's free or not anymore. I think it still is. They have a subscription part where you can pay a little bit more and get a little bit more. But Widget Smith looks like this. This is Widget Smith. Okay, maybe why don't we just take a quick trip to the App Store and see what Widget Smith looks like when you go to buy it. So I'm going to search Widget Smith. Believe it or not, Widget Smith is made by a guy named Smith. He also has Watch Smith and a couple other Smiths. And what he does is he gives you the ability to do more than Apple gives you in both on the watch, on the phone, and other places too. So this is Widget Smith, and this is actually showing you here how you can. It shows you some examples of what you can do. So these are people have gotten really crazy with their widgets here. I made some pretty fancy setups. So you can see if you pick a good background and you pick widgets that are kind of color coordinated with your background, you can make a really nice setup. So here somebody's they've got their steps, they know what day it is, they've got a favorite picture, and they've got a clock and a calendar. And it's all right there in front of them without having to touch anything. It's right there. And speaking of touching anything, let me show you one more thing. We see these weather widgets here, and you think, well, maybe I just want to tap the weather and get more information. Well, it turns out that weather widgets are tappable. If you just touch them, you're taken to the weather widget. They tell you down here where this widget is, where it came from, and where it's going to go when you touch it. So let's do that. So I'm straight into the weather widget. All right. So if I want to know the weather in Davis, I touch the Davis one, and there's the Davis weather. So this is the regular weather widget. So even though these widgets take up a lot of space, they also serve as big triggers. So if you have trouble, touching the smaller buttons, well, all of a sudden you got big buttons. Okay, these big buttons take you into the exact same app you would have gotten with the little buttons. Okay, but let's do one with Widget Smith. Now, Widget Smith lets you make your own widgets to fit in any space on the screen. So I put Widget Smith down here in the dock so that I could get to it for today. So I'm going to touch that now. Now, the first thing I want to show you is that Widget Smith has built in a tutorial. And I'm gonna show you how to do things, but remember you can come back here and tap this and learn how this works. So let's just do that. So step one, which I'm going to show you, we're going to long press on some empty space to get into the jiggle mode, just like always. That's what I showed you. Then we're going to hit that plus button up there. That's the only way to do it. Let's keep scrolling here. Now, I scrolled down in that long list of apps and found photos once, and then I found weather once, and I went down to Widget Smith once. Well, we're gonna scroll down in the list, get to Widget Smith, and then what you do is you simply pick a size. You're just gonna tell them I want to carve out space on my screen for a widget, small, medium, or large. That's super easy. So we've already done step 4. And now you would be at step 5 is you're going to choose the widget to fill the space. So the part they're leaving out is that we get to create our own widgets to fill the space. So we'll do the simple steps here, and then we'll add a widget. When you get Widget Smith, you get these widgets, a simple small one, a simple medium-sized one, and a simple large one. Okay, these are all widgets. So I'm gonna bail out of this. Let's add a widget. So I'm gonna do it the Widget Smith way. We're gonna touch where there's nothing. Things start to wiggle. I hit the plus at the top, right, like we always do. And now I'm gonna scroll through this list, and I'm going to tap Widget Smith because I'm going to put a Widget Smith widget on this screen. And I'm going to put in, let's put in a medium-sized widget. Why not? Okay. So when I of course, I was about to tap right here because I told you I make this mistake all the time. Really, the place to tap is down here, right, where it says add widget. So we're going to add the widget. So what have I got here? Well, I've got a widget it's a calendar, it's nice, but it's not the widget I want. What I want up there, I want to have a clock. I want to have a big clock up there. So if I tap this widget, it takes me to Widget Smith, and I see that the only choices I have that are medium in the medium categories is this one here. So we're just going to have to make our own. So I'm going to add a medium widget here. Now, when you add a widget, you get different styles of widgets, and you can see, let me tap here, and yeah, okay, so there's photo widgets. There are photos with pictures, or photos with dates, rather, photos with time. I just want the time, so I'm gonna put the time here. We're gonna come back and do a photo in a minute, but I'm gonna just put the time. I want one that looks like this. So I'm gonna tap that, and now I get some choices. So that's the one I'm going to have. And you see down at the bottom here, we've got an aesthetic / theme that is basic. They're giving me the time for Los Angeles, and they're giving me the time in the time format that I'm using for the iPhone already, where I'm not using 24-hour time, right? And I'm using my time zone. So let's tap where it says here, where it says basic. I'm going to change this a little bit because I like green numbers. So I'm gonna tap the word basic, and now here are some other ways I could customize this thing. Now, when you look at this, some of these settings here have little locks on them. These are for people who have paid the subscription fee to have those. And when you touch one of those, it tells you down here, if you want to subscribe to this, to pay, you pay. But in this case, I'm not really all that interested in having hearts on my clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick whatever is the closest, which looks like I like this basic black one, but then I'm going to customize it. I'm going to tap where it says customize down here. All right, so here we go. So what am I going to do about this? Well, I have the background color is black. We know about that. I don't need a border, but I do want to change the color of the text, which is where they say tint. And we're going to tap that, and I'm going to pick a different color. Now I can pick any color I want. These colors are pretty good colors, but oh, I like that lime. I think I'm going to take that lime. So I'm going to tap here. And that's what my clock's going to look like. Okay, so I'm done with that. Finally, up here at the top, I'm going to save it. Okay, and now they're asking me, do I want to update this theme? No, I just want to update this widget here. So I'm just adding this widget. Okay. So now you see I've got a widget that I've made. And here it is. Now it's still not in the on my screen yet. And you also notice up here, I still have to save it again. Don't forget to save. And here you can see it's got a really generic name, medium number 2. I'm going to call this green clock. So I'm going to tap where it says tap to rename, and I'm going to call this thing green clock. Not as if I can't tell that it's a clock. There you go. And now I'm going to save it. All right, so let's save that. Okay, so now you see in my list of medium-sized widgets, I have the one that they gave me, and I have this one that I made called the green clock. Okay, great. So now, what are we going to do about that? Well, remember, I created the widget. It's available, but I haven't put it anywhere. So I'm going to take this space that we were going to put a widget in, and I'm going to touch it and hold it, and I'm going to edit this widget. If I'd have done that better, let me try this again. Touch it, hold it, edit the widget. I'm just going to pick a different one. I'm going to pick the green clock. This is why I named it, right? So I can tell which one is which. So now when I'm done, I tap outside of that white area, maybe up here, maybe down here, it doesn't matter, just not on the widget. And so now I got a big clock. So this is nice because I can look at this clock from, a million miles away, and I can see what time it is. I know we've got the clock up here, and also I know that is it's not 9:41. Okay, this is trivia time. Does anyone know why it says 9:41 when you're using Zoom?
I do. But let's give someone else a try. No, but if you know, please put it in the chat. And we'll see who answers this question first.
Right,
Go ahead. Yeah, it's a good question. Debbie Clark got it. So Debbie, you want to unmute yourself and tell what it is?
It's when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone for the first time.
That's it. Well done.
That is correct.
Yeah,
and
so it's a little inside joke for the Zoom guys.
Right, and it shows up every time you do a screen share. Your clock will change to on the screen. It will change to display this number. So
yes.
It's not just here. It shows up everywhere.
I believe Apple has a lot of screenshots on their website for their products that typically have 9:41 as the time. Okay, so it doesn't mean that Widget Smith isn't working. Doesn't mean my Mac's not working or my iPhone's not working. It's just it's an inside joke. So now I've got this nice big clock, and this is really the information at a glance kind of idea. Very nice that I can just see what the clock is, see what time it is. And if you got creative here, which let's get creative. I have here a black clock background against a blue desktop pattern. So what I'm gonna do is go to the settings over here. I'm gonna suppose I made the background black, and you'll see how nice this can be. So I'll go to wallpaper. Let's choose a new wallpaper, and I think I've got a black one in here. At least I thought I did. Let's see. Yeah, here's something black. So if I use black now, if we go and look, so I made a little black swatch so I could do that. So now you see how my phone looks like this. very dramatic. And of course, the background of the widget has just disappeared because it's the same color as the background. All right, so that's kind of fun. Now I'm going to show you something else. This is where things get really, well, I'm going to put the photo one on there that I promised you, and then I'm going to show you something even more wild. And I'm also going to change my background back to that light blue because I think it's easier to see things, because here you don't know how I got this here. It looks like it's just sort of floating in space. Now, when I'm using my phone, it's floating in space. I like it like that, but I'm gonna go to settings here. We'll just change that back.
While you're doing that, I have a question for you.
Great.
You have several requests. If you could please show stacking widgets.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about stacks.
And you do have a request. If you have time, can you show how to use a reminders widget?
I'll try. We'll see. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Okay. So stacking is an interesting thing here. You see, I've got two weather widgets here, and obviously two take up twice as much space as one. But there's this idea of a stack where I can put one widget on top of another. So I'm going to do that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger on this widget and hold it till it wiggles, and I'm going to just drag it up until it's on top of this one, and then I'm going to let go. So here we go. My finger's there, and I'm still holding it down. Things are wiggling, and I'm going to move it up here, and you see it's kind of highlighted, and now they're there. And you also see, at this moment, you see these two little dots here. This shows us that there's two items in this stack. I don't know how many things you can put in a stack, but it's a lot more than two. And they don't even need to be the same kind of widget. They just have to be the same size. So let's tap where it says done. And now what we see here, I see the Davis widget. Now, the good news and the bad news. The good news is that this takes up only as much space as one widget. The bad news is it's easy to forget that there's two widgets in there, because those dots that were so handy a little while ago to show us that there were two things, they're gone. They come back when you try to swipe. What you do is you swipe down this way. So I'm going to swipe down. I'm going to put my finger on the widget, and I'm just sort of scroll down. You can see now I see the dots, but it's only momentary. And so I'm just rolling through. So that's a stack. Now I'm going to put another widget on here, and I'm going to add it to the stack. I'm going to put a widget, again, I'm going to touch where there's nothing, make it wiggle, hit the plus. I'm not going to highlight these things anymore. You know how this works. And I'm going to go down here to calendar. And in calendar, I'm going to pick another small one. And this one's perfect. So I'm going to, but you see there's several calendar widgets. There's calendars that look like this, that take up a lot of room. There's this one that's kind of wide. There's this little one. This is what I want. This is showing me my next appointment automatically, the next thing in my calendar. And by the way, you may have noticed that this button used to be blue. It was blue when we were adding weather widgets, but they changed the color of the button to match some color in the widget. And to me, it just makes me feel lost. I'd rather that they just pick one color and stuck with it. But that's the way it works. And of course, you cannot touch this just because you want it. You can't touch it. You have to touch down here, add widget. So we will. So I add this widget. Very handy. And now I'm going to take this widget. I'm going to drag it into my stack. Just drag it over here. Now it's in the stack. And maybe I'll take this clock and I'll just drag this up. I'll just rearrange things a little bit. So this stack over here has both a calendar and two weather widgets. So if you think the widgets sound neat, but they might take up too much room, then stacks are your answer. Now there is something called a smart stack, where Apple tries to figure out which one you want to see at each time. And maybe we'll do one of those, but I promised you I was going to show you just a picture. I want to just put a picture on the screen and just have it there all the time. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use Widget Smith to do that, because remember that Apple's photo widget is showing you kind of a slideshow with music, and it changes all the time, and you're not the one who gets to decide. they decide. So it's kind of fun. It's like a little surprise every day. But if you've got a picture that you want, this is how you get it up here. You use Widget Smith. So I'm going to use Widget Smith now. I'm going to make a small widget. It's going to be small. I'm going to add a small one. And it's going to be a photo. Now, I showed you before that we have different styles. These are, if we scroll, you see we have a bunch of different kind of photos, but I can scroll through here and then we see the time ones again. Okay, so you saw this before. We're going to work in the photos section right now. I want a particular photo, and that's what I'm going to get if I choose the one that's highlighted here. If I wanted to show all the photos in a particular album, I would use this one, and they would just rotate through. Well, let's do the one that's highlighted there. It just says photo. So when I touch it, they then say, okay, which photo are we going to have? I'm going to go down here to select the photo that I want. All right, so I'm going to go down there, and they're saying choose photo. All right, well, I'll tap that blue button. I'm going to find a picture. So I've got to find a picture. Whoops, not the one I want. Let me just here choose photo. I'm going to go to albums. I'm going to look at my. I'm going to look at some favorites here, and I'm going to have this nice picture of a deer. I'll take this one here. Okay, and now I can even scroll this. I can pinch this like this. I can stretch it. So if I want this picture like this, I can do it. I can move it around inside like that, get it just right. And that's my picture. So I'm going to go back. And now they know this is my picture. I'm going to hit save at the top right. And I'm not going to tell you how this works just yet, but just notice that there's some special stuff here. So that picture is going to be shown unless there's a timed widget that's active. We'll talk about timed widgets next, but first we'll do save. So I have this widget that's called small number 2. Terrible name. I should have renamed it. Let's name it. I'm going to name it now. So I'm going to touch this thing, and up at the top where it says small number 2, tap to rename. I'm going to tap to rename, and I'm going to get my finger up there, and I'm going to save myself a lot of backspacing just by tapping here. And now I'm going to say deer. Okay, save that. So now I've got a widget called deer. They should name theirs something better than small number 1. Okay, so now when I look, I want to add a widget. Let's go. I'm going to touch here. I'm going to say add a widget with the plus. I'm going to go down here to Widget Smith, because it's going to be a Widget Smith widget. It's going to be small. I'm going to add widget. They picked the wrong one, but I'm going to tap it and choose deer. Okay, so now I've always got this deer picture on my screen. So that's going to stay there. It's not going to rotate through. It's not going to do anything different. It's always going to be there. Okay, so questions so far about this? Anything that I need to do again?
Not that I see. You've
Good.
done a really good job.
Marvelous. Now I want to show you something that's really cool. So on my phone, I have a clock widget, just like the one you see here on the screen, the 9:12 a.m. But at different times of day, I don't really need to know what time it is. I just need to know that it's time to go to bed. So at 11 o'clock, I want it to change the words. Instead of showing me the time, just say go to bed. And that's easy to do. That's called a timed widget. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tap this widget. We know we made this widget with Widget Smith because down at the bottom, it says Widget Smith, and you couldn't do this any other way anyway. So let's just tap the time, and I get this big widget, and we're going to edit my green clock. So to edit this green clock, I'm going to touch it. So anywhere in here, just we touch it. Okay. Now, this is the widget. When they say default, it basically means what does this thing look like most of the time? And down at the bottom, you see add a timed widget, and they say they replace the default widget at a specific time. So how am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to touch it down here, add a timed widget. to show you this neato clock setup here. And you can't be too precise here. You can do it down to an hour. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is a 24-hour clock here. So I'm going to come all the way around here. I'm going to say, look, at 11, well, I'm going to say from 11 until 2 in the morning. It better say, well, I'm going to say from 11 to 12. I want it to say go to bed. Okay. So what I've done is I've shown it when, but I haven't shown it what. And so this is the what. What's going to show up there is whatever's in that box. Well, I'm going to touch that to see what it is. And they think I'm going to show a photo up there. Okay, well, that's not what I want. I'm going to scroll through here until I find this one that says your text here. Ooh, perfect, right? So I'm going to touch that. And now I'm actually going to go down at the bottom where it says text, your text here, down at the very, very bottom down here. Okay, and we're going to put our text. I'm going to say, instead of your text here, I'm going to say, go to bed. All right. Not a bad idea. I'm going to go back here. So now we're going to have to get out of this, right? So I'm going to go back. And so what it's showing us here is at 11 p.m. until 12 p.m., instead of showing me the clock, it's going to show me go to bed. Now, I could have made that green. I'm going to touch where it says go to bed up here at the top, up here. And let's make sure we get the colors that we like. And once again, we've got the aesthetic / theme. I'm going to touch that. And I'm going to customize the theme here. And I'm going to say I want the tint. I'm going to pick that nice lime green just to keep it all in the family. Okay, so it all looks the same. I'm going to save it up at the top. I'm going to apply to this widget only. I don't like to mess up everything else. And now I'll just kind of back out. So that's what it's going to look like at 11 o'clock. Now, I'm sorry, I can't really make a widget to show you what's going to happen, say like at 9:30, because this is only done by the hour. But you could have different things there. And so we know, if I go back to my home screen, what you see here will change to actually say the words go to bed at 11 p.m. tonight. So knowing how to do that, wouldn't it be cool if we could have a different picture on the screen at different times and we get to pick? So what I could do is up here with this deer picture, I can say, okay, look, I want this deer. Most of the time I want the deer, but I'm going to tap it and I'm going to go to my deer here and I'm going to say, I'm going to add a timed widget for that. So most of the time it's the deer, but I'm going to say from, I'll say from 12 until, let's say from 12 until 3, it's going to be something else. So I'm going to tap on this again, and I'm going to put in a different photo. So yes, it'll be a photo. And now I'm going to go down here and I say I have to select a photo. So we'll do that. I'll choose a photo again. And this photo will be different. I'm going to go to my albums again. I'm going to go to my favorites again. It seems like a good place to go. And I'm going to use this nice hawk picture. Okay. And again, I can stretch this and make it bigger if I want. I can pan around, put it where I want. It looks pretty good like that. Okay, so I'll back out of this. And so at 12 o'clock today, that space up there at the top of my screen, it's going to change to be the hawk. And then at 3 o'clock, it's going to go back to the deer. So I could set this up to rotate through these various favorite pictures exactly on the schedule I want. And once it's set up, it works every single day without you doing anything more. Okay, that is pretty much the widget thing that I wanted to show you. We've got, I guess we used about a half our time for that. And so I'll take questions on that if there are some, and if not, I will try to handle general iOS questions, iOS being the iPhone OS.
All right, Barbara Karp, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, so can you replace a photo by the day in advance, so I can have someone's birthday come up on the day of their birthday.
Wow, what a great idea. You know, I was kind of thinking about that while I was talking about it, and I don't know how to do that. I don't think I can do that because it's only by the hour and not by the day. However, the Widget Smith guy, David Smith, is, first of all, he's a really smart guy. And second of all, he's a really nice guy. And he takes suggestions. I'm gonna write that down right now. And I'm gonna ask him, because that would be a super neat feature.
I think so.
Yeah, right. You would put up the birthday picture of the right day.
Yeah.
Does anybody know at the meeting?
No. No answer yet. Thank you, Barbara, for your question. Mitch, can you unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes, I actually had two. I was typing in another one. When you were choosing that text as and going in and customizing it, there was another option there that said other. Why didn't you choose other?
That's a good question. Well, let's go see. So I was here and I went here, and you wanted me to go to
It was blank, maybe. It was next to text.
okay, let's see. Oh, here, blank. Well, blank would be blank. That would just wipe it out. There wouldn't be any words.
So you couldn't type in there.
No, it just covers it up. It just
Okay,
takes
and then
it
the
away.
other question I was just typing in is if you subscribe for a month and you create a bunch of widgets and then you decide you're not going to continue, do they disappear or do they stay?
I don't know. I think I personally have never been a subscriber. I've only been able to do all the things I've done with the standard stuff that's free. So that's the way I've done it. So I would guess that things would roll back to more standard themes, but I don't know. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, Cody Douglas, can you unmute yourself and ask a question?
Yes, my question involves iOS. I recently had to put an app on my phone for medical reasons, and now it seems to be drawing a tremendous amount from my battery, and I can't really figure out how to fix it.
Okay, well, that's a great question, because really battery questions are they come up every day. So I'm going to answer this kind of generically, and then maybe it'll help other people too. So it's probably not just your app. So there's a setting. I'm going to find my settings app here. Let's go to settings, and I think some of you may know where I'm headed. I'm looking for background app refresh.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than dig around and look, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in here, I don't know how many settings there are, but there are a lot. I'm going to go up here to the top and search, because I can't remember where it is myself. So I'm going to go for background. Here it is. Right away, you see background app refresh. It's somewhere in general. I'm just going to touch it right here. Okay. So what happens with background app refresh is here in the fine print, apps can refresh themselves even when they're not being actively used in the front. So there's certain apps where it makes great sense for you to let them update in the background. First one I think of is maps. If you're driving somewhere, let's say you're driving and you're not looking at the map, maybe a phone call comes in while you're driving, and the map has to know where you are because it needs to be able to say, hey, turn right. So it needs to be updating as you're, even when you're not using it. If your phone call's in the front and the map's in the back, the map has to still be working and updating. So here, I would have maps, there you go, maps is turned on. It needs to be able to do this all the time. And other things that need to track your location, they need to, if you want to see how many miles you walked or something, or what your route was, they need to be able to track you, but other things don't need to track, to be working and updating all the time. Like even if you look at, say, the weather. So I'm gonna look at the weather app down here, and if you really need, if I can, oh, weather's up at the top, sorry. I'll find it one of these days. Get up here. No, where's weather? Well, all right. Let's say it's Amazon. Amazon doesn't need to update behind my back all the time. They only need to be up to date when I look at them. And another one that might be like that is, let's say, stocks. If you need to know what the stock market's doing, you're going to go look at the stocks, and you'll have to wait maybe a second for it to update, right? But you don't need it updating all the time behind your back when you're not looking. It's just a total waste of battery. So what I think is, for this app, I think the app may be set with this switch on, and you might want to switch that off. Now, depends on what the app's doing. I mean, if it's some sort of monitor that's supposed to be monitoring your steps or something, it might need to be on. That's my number one thing that you can do on a app by app basis. You can save some battery. Do you think that answers that?
So yes, the app that I am using is a medical app for a heart monitor, and therefore it does need to be left on. And I don't have too many other apps that are refreshing on my phone. So that seems that it changed when I had to go over to using this app, which needs to be on 24/7.
Yeah, well, so that app may be, I mean, since it is on 24/7 and since it's monitoring, it's probably doing something wirelessly in order to get to your heart monitor. I mean, that seems like it's just using a lot of energy because it needs to. I mean, maybe there's a way for them to make it use less, but maybe there's something in the settings for that app itself where you can say, don't check every 1 second, check every 10 seconds. I don't know. But it does sound like it's just that one app. You're doing, if it has to be on, it has to be on. So, I don't know what else to say. It sounds like it's just the app.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I do.
Contact the people that make the app and see if this is normal. They may say that you've got something set that you don't need to have set. Maybe you've got an option turned on that's not necessary for you.
All right.
Thank you
Great question, though.
Cody,
You
thank
got
you for
to
your
talk
question.
about background app refresh. Good question.
All right. Next question, Frank Salvatini, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. When I was working with Windows, there used to be these apps that will change the entire design of your desktop, your icons, your thises and that's. I'm wondering if there's something like that for widgets. Is there an app that'll allow you to say, I want a cyberpunk everything? The switch should be a manual looking switch and change all that.
Well, no, you don't have themes for the whole iPhone interface. The closest thing you can have for customizing everything is Widget Smith, and people have done some really wild stuff. But in the end, the apps still have switches that look like the regular switches, and you're really just customizing home screens. You're not customizing apps and interfaces. That's something Apple holds that pretty tightly. They don't want. They think that things could get out of control if they allow that, so they don't.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'd like to just make a brief response to Cody. Go to settings and go to privacy. And from privacy, select location services. And Okay, privacy, location services.
That's a good one too. Yep.
Right, and here you have a lot of apps that are going to be on and using your resources. And you can tell these apps to either do not, like a lot. Can you click on one?
Sure.
So you can tell it to like never allow this app to start tracking you, or you can tell it only while using or always. These apps are also draining your battery. So you can change these settings here.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Some things need to know where you are, and that's I was really kind of said that wrong. Things that need to know where you are, you would use location services, but background app refresh is also important. But it's kind of a case by case basis. A lot of apps are going to be tracking your location. They really have no need to do it. So yeah, so there you go. Good, very good point, Sheeta.
All right, thank you. Donna Warnock, can you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I wear hearing aids, and when I went to put them on yesterday, there was music blaring in them. And so I took them off and found that the music was coming from my iPhone, which is connected to it by Bluetooth to the hearing aids. Now, I can't find where that music is coming from. I cycled through all the apps that I thought were open, but maybe there's more somewhere that I don't know about. Do you know where that music could be coming from?
Wow. Well, it could be coming from the music app, or it could be coming from, say, YouTube, or it could be coming from a web page that's playing music. But if you've gone through and killed all the apps, if you've done this move and you've gone flick, 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 if you're down to nothing, I mean, you can kind of tell when the music stops, that's because of the one you just closed. So did you do all of this to get to nothing, get all the way down to nothing?
No, I didn't do that.
Okay. Well, you can see that when you kill the app, it's going by swiping up like that.
Yeah.
If the music stops, that was the one.
Okay. Good.
So,
All right,
yeah.
I'll
thank
try
you.
that.
'cause
Thank you.
even if it's not playing through your hearing aids, it's still it's probably using up battery there too.
Right.
So
Okay. Good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay. Okay. I think we have gotten all of the questions on the list. Alan, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, Christian, I see you have 61,000 messages in your mailbox. Is that taking up a lot of room, and how much room does that take, and where is that, on your phone or in iCloud? Or where are those 61,000 messages, and how much room do they take?
They're in a folder called bill collectors. Yeah, no, they're on the phone. They're the mail's downloaded to the phone when I read them. Now it could be, if there's big attachments and stuff, they probably aren't downloaded, but yeah, they're somewhere on my phone using up space. But I find it's easier to have more, to buy a phone with more space and to live like this than to do the right thing and clean it up. I mean, I know some people who have an inbox that gets empty every day. They end up with zero. They come in the next morning, they've got 10 messages and they go through all of them and that's it. I come in the morning, I've got 150 messages, and so most of these things are going to be they're probably advertisements that I can easily ignore. Okay. This is one I can't, but here, how many of these things did I need? Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But maybe I care about this one. That's about my account, but the rest of this stuff, yeah. So so I end up not dealing with everything. So okay. Yeah, so bad housekeeping, but my phone's a big house, so I can live. I mean, I still have
There you
lots,
go.
lots of room on here.
Okay, Liam, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, please?
Yes, thank you very much. Christian, great class. How can you set it up so that when you get a text message, your phone will alert you either by ringing or vibrating more than once? I've gone to where you can, it seems like I can only get it to do it once rather than more than that.
Oh, you mean, so so you get a text message, you get notified once, and then you want to be notified twice, right?
You want, yeah, twice, maybe even 3 times.
You know what?
I have
I've done that. I just let me see if I can do this. Sheeta, you know it off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I'm gonna go here to notification. No, I've done this before for me, and I thought that was really cool. And then all I heard was bells over here all the time, right? Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna go to say down here to messages. Luckily, these things are alphabetical order. That was a great invention. Okay, let's go to messages. And let's see. See if I can do customize here. Do you see this? Check this out. I went to the, so this is messages in the notification section. I go down here to customize. God, it's nice to get one right. So I'm gonna go down here to customize like this. And you see it says repeat alerts. How about that?
There you go, Liam.
Okay, appreciate it. I think we'll try to do that. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, does that seem
Sheeta.
like it addresses it, right? That's
Yes.
it. Okay, very good. All right.
Wonderful. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, Dot, you seem to have some issues here. Dot, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I just discovered on low power mode that background app turns them all off.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you have a big master switch for background app refresh. You can just turn them all off, but there's certain things you need to have on. And the same with the location services. I think there's a master switch to turn them all off. So when you go to low power mode, that's one of the things they're going to do is they know that's a battery drain, right? So they're gonna make that stop. Good point.
Oh, thank you. Then I need to turn on the map one or turn low power mode off when I'm using the map. Thank you.
Okay, then somebody asked here, Linda asked about swiping up from the bottom of the iPad to see what apps are open. And you know, there is a problem with not everybody's fingers are the same. And what I might try if I were you, I might try getting a stylus, a pen that has like a little rubber bumper on the bottom, and use that. If you're using an iPad, it's kind of a two-handed operation anyway. So maybe maybe you find yourself one of those really a pen with the rubber thing on the end that's the stylus. That might work for you because some people's fingers just do not register, and there's not much you can do about it. I think I see that more and more.
Okay.
All right, good question.
Yeah. And one thing that was asked about trying to see what music is playing, if you do a swipe down or swipe to the side, like with notifications, sometimes it'll show you what's playing.
Right. So you may have even been able to pull down from the top right corner into the control center here, and you might have been able to see, like where I see not playing here, you might have seen something playing and you could have paused it there. All right, so that might, and you can even tap it to see what's playing, and that might have been the answer too. That's a better answer.
Okay.
Okay. And
all right.
I got a question about
Chris.
focus. Do we? Someone else asked me about focus in the in advance. Can I do a little focus question here?
You have time. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, focus, what they used to call do not disturb, has now been like supercharged and called focus. So the idea with do not disturb is that you don't want to be bothered by text messages showing up on the screen or phone calls or really any other kind of notification. So when you need to do some work, or let's say you're giving a class like me, you might come in here to focus. So I'm going to look at the focus here in the control center. I'll tap here, and I'm going to turn Do Not Disturb on. I should have done this, but I forgot. So you see different kinds of focus here. Like if you're driving, maybe you only get to see the Maps app. That's what they're trying to do there. But in real life, for me, this is still the one I use. It's either everything's off or everything's normal. So I'm going to go to Do Not Disturb. And when I tap that, I actually have some options here. So, oh, I now remember. I actually had Do Not Disturb. I did have Do Not Disturb on. I have a schedule that every day Do Not Disturb comes on from 7:30 in the morning until 9:30 in the morning, so I can get a little bit of work done. And you can see that here, that I've got this schedule. But you can turn on Do Not Disturb for a short time like this. But there's another thing you can do that's sort of interesting, and you don't see it here. But let's go to Settings, and we're going to find the Do Not Disturb. Now, you can either remember that it's called Focus now, or maybe you remember this little, what looks like an outhouse symbol to me, but they say, no, that's the Do Not Disturb symbol. Or you could simply go to the very top and search. So I'm going to search for Do Not Disturb just to show you. This is how I would do it. Do Not Disturb. And so you sort of narrow things down. So anyway, I'll do this. So if we look at Do Not Disturb, one of the neat things here is this option here. So if I turn on Do Not Disturb on this particular iPhone, it will tell my iPad and my Mac that Do Not Disturb is on as well. So that is really handy because, if you've got more than one device and you turn on Do Not Disturb on one of them, and then the other one starts ringing, well, that's no good. So this is a very handy little switch. Now I'm going to show you how I set up the schedule here. So up at the top, where it says Do Not Disturb, I'll tap that, and you'll see that I've got, in fact, I even forgot my schedule. It's from 7 until 9:30 every day. So yours, when you come into yours, it's not going to look like that. It's going to just say add schedule or automation. And when you do, you can say, well, look, maybe from, well, these are examples, from 12:30 to 2:30, maybe it's lunchtime, nap time, bingo time, card time, whatever. So anyhow, you can set up whatever you want here. So I'm going to say set up one on a time. I'll say from 11:30 p.m. There's that 11:30 p.m. to, I'll say, I don't know, let's say till 5 a.m. I don't want to be bothered. So you can see when you can call me. You get the little window, you can call me. So if I do this is for which days did you see? If I look at this again, here's the days. I can say, well, on weekends I'm going to stay up later, so you can call me. So anyway, that's how that works. I'm gonna delete that one because that's gonna mess me up here. So let's delete that automation at the bottom. Okay, they call it an automation because it is an automation. It's turning on a feature for you at a certain time. Now, someone else asked me in the questions in advance, if I'm on Do Not Disturb, how do I get people to get through to me? There's a couple things. First of all, you can say that certain people can get through, okay? And you can say certain apps can get through. So maybe there's like our friend with the heart monitor app. If the heart monitor app wants to say, hey, call your doctor, we want that app to get through, even when you're on Do Not Disturb. So you can touch the apps button there and you can add an app, but I can also add people. I can say, look, I want my favorites, the people that are in my favorites list they can get through, okay? So all I got to do is add them to the favorites. Where it says allow repeated calls, this is the one where if someone really wants to get a hold of you and they call you 2 times, it'll ring the second time. Now this is not something that works all the time, because sometimes it's a telemarketer calling you, it's a robot calling you the second time, and that's why you get them. So if you're able to put people in your favorites, then they'll get through. And if they're not in your favorites, you can certainly add them one by one. So if I tapped here, let's say I want my friend Jeff. Maybe he's not in my favorites, but I want Jeff to be able to get through if he needs me. So there, I've added Jeff. So Jeff is going to be able to call me anytime he wants, even if I'm on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so I'll just clean that out now, but that's how you do that. Now, putting someone in the favorites is easy. Let's suppose we go to the Contacts app. And so let's go find that. There's Contacts. And I'm gonna say, let's say Calvin here. Let's say I want to have Calvin be one of my favorites. So if I'm looking at Calvin and I scroll around here, somewhere down here, we're gonna see add to favorites. So then he's in the favorites list. So that's it. So I can also say that he's a favorite for calls from this phone number, that phone number, whatever it is. And that's how that works. So you can set up your favorites that way.